Hello YouTube faithful and Nerd Nation, this is your old buddy Lucius Prime coming at you yet again with another video. I've got another good close friend of mine who recently saw Power Rangers as well, so I wanted to actually get his opinion on the movie itself. Gonna ask him a few basic questions, go through my usual spiel. And as usual, here at Adventures of a Traveling Nerd, no worries because spoiler, no spoiling. And welcome back to Adventures of a Traveling Nerd. Again, I'm your host, Lucius Prime. And as promised, this is actually a very good and close friend of mine.
Fidel Eternal 2071.
And we're going to discuss Power Rangers. Don't worry, we're not going to be too long, but then again, we're also not going to be too short. First of all, I've got to ask you, what was your overall opinion of the movie?
Personally, I liked it. I've heard a bunch of mixed reviews from friends, associates. A lot of people I talked to didn't think it lived up to the original series. I loved it. Just God honest truth, I loved it.
Well, I'm actually going to have to agree with you on that one. A lot of close friends of mine know me well enough to know that I do appreciate other people's opinions, but typically only the people whom I'm close to. I don't really pay too much mind to negative reviews about anything, and even to the people I don't know, I don't pay attention to their positive reviews. I'm always the type of person, I like to go into something, be it a movie, a video game, a book, anything, and then forge my own opinion about it. So I've got mad respect for you for that one, man.
It's the best way to be about it.
But I do honestly believe that they did great justice to the entire series as it is, not just the originals.
Yep. They really did.
Well, anyways, as you already know, here at Adventures of a Traveling Nerd, we have a very strict policy of spoiler, no spoiling, so we can't give away any key points of the movie, at least not yet. You know what? I think we can actually go ahead and discuss some of the Easter eggs that were in there, some other anecdotes about it. And I think we could do some of the underlying story, that way it won't actually give it away. First off, this is actually one that I brought up with another good friend of mine, another YouTuber by the name of Fletch. This is a very subtle Easter egg, and I do want to get it out there and actually get people's attention on it. I want to see if you knew about it. But there's a point where the new Yellow Ranger is sitting down with her family, and she's wearing a t-shirt that says 1973. By any chance, did you catch that?
I did not catch that. I was told later on about it and had a laugh about it. I thought after the fact that it was a great way to pay tribute, but I actually did not catch it during the actual film.
Well, for those of you that haven't watched any of my other videos about it yet, again, she's wearing a t-shirt that says 1973, which happens to be the original actress Thuy Trang's birth date. She was born in 1973, and I completely agree with Fletch, and I agree with my good friend here that that was definitely a very epic nod, a very epic homage to Thuy Trang.
Definitely.
God rest her soul. And mind you, she did not get much of a chance to actually pursue anything else. She, as far as I know, this is, and I feel bad saying this, not knowing too much else about her her career, but the only other thing that I'm aware of that she was in was the second Crow movie, The Crow, City of Angels, where she played the female lead well, not the female lead. Well, yeah, it was a lead, the lead,
pretty much.
the female lead bad guy, as it were.
Yeah.
Very sexy outfits, by the way, and not exactly a movie I would suggest you letting your children watch, not until they're at least a little bit older. I do actually think that they really were able to touch base with today's generation about how much more troubled teens are than compared to the way they were back in the 90s. What about you?
I definitely agree. The way they started the film, I saw the film with my family, my two younger brothers, my stepmom and my dad. And my dad's a very religious guy, so I kind of saw he wasn't really into like the first joke scene, like the beginning of the film. He didn't get into it too much, but after I saw that, I pretty much knew from there like the direction that they were going with the film as far as like the joking and certain sequences that I could look forward to, and I didn't mind it. I preferred it. I thought them trying to play along with the times, it was a turn on for me.
I completely agree with you on that. I mean, yes, the entire franchise itself has been truly something to behold, especially for the younger generations. As a matter of fact, it inspired me to pursue martial arts whenever I was younger, and it also helped give me a sense, it really helped me understand a sense of right and wrong whenever I was a kid. But this new movie, I mean, I won't say it's adult themed because that kind of comes across the wrong way when you say it like that. I'd say it's definitely for more of a mature audience because they do have some very out there adult jokes and scenes and even some dialogue. I mean, it's again for a mature audience. I mean, more along, say, high school and up.
Yes, it's definitely still a film that families can see together, and it doesn't cross borderlines in your mind that you would think like it should be made into not a family film. It's definitely still something. In the theater at the time, there were like 7-8-year-olds that I know were kids, like just goofing off next to my dad, and my dad was kind of getting annoyed, but there was a lot of young kids in there, and I after seeing the whole film, I think it's a family film, definitely.
Well, you said you went with your two younger brothers?
Yep, my two younger brothers.
If you don't mind me asking, how old were they?
The one is 22, and the other one just turned 18 about 3 months ago.
So the one who's 18 probably didn't really get much of a chance to see Mighty Morphin. I'm gonna make a guess and say that he probably started somewhere around Lost Galaxies or even maybe a little bit past that.
Yeah.
But the one who's 21, I think he might just be barely old enough to actually have caught Mighty Morphin. Exactly how did they enjoy it?
They enjoyed the movie. I didn't hear either one of them complain or say anything negative after the movie. We pretty much all agreed that we liked the direction they went with it.
Well, have either of them actually seen any of the original Mighty Morphin?
My second oldest brother, he grew up around that time. Like, he was old enough to actually watch it with us, and he was super into it because at that time, my dad used to work a lot. Like, he had a daytime and nighttime job, but he bought us these Transformers, the watches with the crystal. So we used to run around the yard beating the crap out of each other and getting in trouble every day after. And see, but me and the second oldest, you know, we would always go too far and like actually put hands on each other's, and so the youngest always wanted to be a part of it, and he wanted to actually join the physical nonsense we had going on at the time. So we would always get in trouble for him getting a little too hurt and running inside crying to mom. But you know, that was just the fun of the time being young men. So,
all right. What do you think about the fact that with all these actors and actresses, unlike they did with the series, they pulled actors and actresses that had no actual prior martial arts experience? How do you think how well do you think they adapted to that based on what you saw in the movie?
I'm not gonna lie. There's some scene I wish I had saw a lot more martial arts than I did see. It wasn't, what I did see wasn't horrible, but I just wish I had gotten to see more of it. And the fact that the Yellow Ranger, Becky G, as far as I know, that was her first like performance as an actress, like live action, because she comes from a music background. And I
didn't know that.
Yeah, you learn something every time.
On.
Like I thought that she played a great role, and that being her first performance as an actress, live action. I thought that the martial arts that she did do was good, but I thought that she was an amazing actress. Like, first and foremost, that I was actually happy to see her give her first performance as the Yellow Ranger.
You know what, again, I'm going to actually have to agree with you on that, especially now knowing what I know about her, because I had no idea about that before. One of my next things that I wanted to bring up, because I didn't get to bring it up in any of my other videos I've done on Power Rangers so far, what did you think about the Zords? Now, first off, I want to go ahead and say, I myself, at first, when I saw the toys at Walmart and Kmart and Target and things like that, I wasn't big on I liked some of the Zords, not all of them, but my one that I was worried about the most was the Mastodon. I mean, it
I was
doesn't
gonna say the same thing.
It doesn't look like a mastodon, but after watching it in the movie, it's kind of grown on me. I like it. What are your thoughts about the Zords in general yourself?
I'm not gonna lie, it kind of grew on me too when you named the Mastodon. When I saw the Mastodon, I wasn't disappointed, but I loved like the original series. Like I kind of wish that with each one of the Zords they had have like stuck to somewhat of like the old fashion of things instead of trying to make it so much more like flamboyant. Yeah, exactly. So Transformers. I still enjoyed it. I loved the way they looked as well as the way that the Ranger suits looked. A lot of people claim that they were too Iron Man-ish, or I like the way they look. I like the way the Zords look, but as far as the Zords, I wish they had have kind of tried to stick to some of the more like old school fashion of the original series.
Actually, I wasn't really overly fond of how the suits look at first myself, but yet again, it's one of those things where it kind of grew on me.
Yep.
Especially because now that I think about it, it reminds me of another movie that I really liked, and we're not going to go too in-depth detail about this one, but it kind of reminded me of Pacific Rim.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I think that really covers about everything of the Prime basis that I wanted to talk about it. Now, just a few other things, just, a few little anecdotes about it, like, all over Twitter and Facebook, Jason David Frank, the original Green Ranger, Tommy Oliver, was giving off little hints and subtleties that he was going to make a cameo in this movie. But, he never actually came through and said anything about it. And this is an Easter egg, so I don't feel like it's actually spoiling any of the main part of the movie. He did, in fact, actually show up. I'm not going to tell you when, I'm not going to tell you how, I'm not going to tell you what he did. But I love that fact. What about yourself?
I love the fact that he showed up as well. He was actually there, like my buddy here said, we're not going to tell you when or what he did, but he did show up. He showed up with one other actress from the original series, and in all honesty, I wish that they both had played like
a larger role in the movie itself, not just cameos.
Like, it didn't have to be something like super, but I feel like the cameo that was made wasn't done right. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of them, like actual acting, like some voice lines. Exactly.
Well, speaking of Jason David Frank, though, as a matter of fact, he was actually at the world premiere in Hollywood whenever they premiered it before they released it to the public. Now, I'm sure you already knew about that, but did you know that he got kicked out of the movie theater during the movie?
I actually read something about it probably 2 or 3 days ago on social media, on my Facebook. I believe what I read stated that he was kicked out for being at the premiere with a video camera, which I have no idea. Like, I love Jason David Frank, but to be so headstrong where you would feel like you could bring a video camera into the premiere without speaking to management or someone first, or that would be cool at all. That was one of those moves he paid for a little bit.
Would you mind the camera woman piping in about why he was sent out? What I read.
But if you got some information we don't know, by all means, please.
I read the article that popped up on Facebook, and what I remember about it was he had the intentions of filming the audience's reaction to his and the other former Power Rangers cameo in there.
Because the entire original cast was actually there, but keep it going.
It wasn't the fact that he was not trying to copy the movie by filming it. He was not doing that. He actually went down in front of the screen just before his part in the movie and started filming the audience to get the reaction so he could post their reaction on his pages.
Makes sense.
The ushers didn't realize who he was. Or what he was doing.
That's so weird, though. How could you not know who Jason David Frank is?
I know, right?
It's dark in there. All they saw was a guy go down with the camera.
Very true.
With his cell phone to record. So, they had to do their job. They didn't realize it was him until he posted it online and everything. That, hey, they kicked me out of the movie.
Right. right.
And also, just for those of you, you might actually recognize my camera woman's voice. That would be Elf Goddess 21. And thank you so much for filling in for Sig Allen, since he wasn't able to film for us today.
Nah, I'd like to thank both of you for allowing me to be part of this project.
It's not just me and her, it's our entire group. And, you know, I'm trying to pull in all the nerds that I have as friends in on some of this, because all of y'all, I do value your opinions. I like to hear what you got to say about just all kinds of random things, man. I mean, one of your biggest things right now is, you were telling me about it earlier. What was the game called again?
Oh, Smite. Yes, I'm a huge Smite geek right now. Every night after work, most weekends, I've been playing it for about the past 4.5 months. Just started playing it competitively, and as toxic as the community can be sometimes, I have a major love for Smite. Play on console, PS4. Fidel Eternal 2071 is my gamer tag. For anyone out there who plays on PS4 console that would like to get some games in, gank some lanes, I'm on a lot.
Well, and also prior to that, I believe you were really big into Overwatch, which I've still not got a chance to play myself yet, but I intend to. Well, anyways, again, I do want to thank you so much for actually coming in and you know, doing this with me, because you are definitely one of the people who I love getting your opinions on all kinds of random things, man. I mean, and it's always great to see you. I don't get to see you as often as I used to, but I always love it whenever you come over and get a chance to hang out, man, and thank you so much.
It's always appreciated.
Just actually want to go ahead and thank you so much for everything. I mean, it's always a great pleasure to have you over, man.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be around you guys, man. Two good-hearted people, great personalities. Hopefully we can collaborate again on more projects in the near future, and I'm definitely down for it.
Well, if you've ever got anything you want to do, let me know, and we'll see what we can do and give you a plug here on Adventures of Traveling Nerd.
Most definitely. I'll definitely try to keep the ideas sparking. I'll definitely let you know.
All right. Well, anyways, folks, thank you so much for tuning in yet again. I mean, please hit that like button, you know, share us, and if you haven't yet, subscribe. I mean, I'm not necessarily one of those YouTubers that's trying to get as many likes and subscribes as possible, even though it is a nice fringe benefit. And yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a benefit to me. It's an honor, and I really appreciate it whenever you guys do subscribe and everything. But, you know, that's about all the time we're going to have for this. And, again, I'm Lucius Prime.
I'm Fidel Eternal 2071.
And our lovely camera woman again.
Elf Goddess 21.
And thank you for tuning in to Adventures of a Traveling Nerd.